Hi, I appreciate you sending me your paper and letting me put this up as a sample for some feedback. You had a really strong paper, so some of the feedback I was hoping that the rest of the class would get will not be able to be gotten through your paper because you were very well organized. Extremely so. You had strong syntax and diction, did a really good job. We will have a couple of areas we're going to focus on, and one would be consistent verb tense. You are in present tense and sometimes slipping back into past tense and then coming back present tense. Writing about literature is normally done in present tense as though it still is ongoing. So you might want to go back through and just change all of that to present. And also the documentation after you give an example, which I appreciate you're giving examples. And I appreciate those page numbers, but we're just going to look a little bit at the format of the way you're doing it and maybe add one or two other little things. Okay, here's the first, and I took off your heading to maintain your privacy. I also just want a little note, you want to put a title above this thing. I thought your first paragraph was strong. I did question the use of navels. I'm not really sure where that was going, but maybe you could try to fix that one. Then you'll notice that we are represent, wants, it's all present tense, looks, does, and we're good. Here we're really good. You're focusing on mama. It's present tense, is going, and then we hit saw. When you start referring back to things that occurred in the book, you are switching to past tense. And then we're saying present. So kind of look through this because you're going to see here's another past tense right there. You kind of want to just notice, and now we're back to present right here. But then right here, we're back to past. So make it all consistently present tense throughout. And I know it's hard, but this is just something you'll be working on to learn. Secondly, let's look down here where you have Benita started speaking against the existence of God. When you do a documentation, take out this word page, and that's the way you do it. Okay? Now, and that's pretty simple. So wherever you have it, like right here, get rid of page, right there, get rid of page, etc. Okay. Now, right here, the reason I highlighted this was you have this as a list up here. Mama's choices put the well-being of others before herself. She saved Ruth from getting an abortion, Benny from having to quit college, Travis from growing up in a poor neighborhood, and Walter from drinking himself to death and losing his wife in the process. Okay, you have a sentence that goes before, put the well-being of others before herself. And then you start a litany, a list of things that she has done as a, as a Christological figure, a savior. Now, when you're about to make a list, you put a colon. Let's see if I can get this to work. There we go. Put a colon, two spaces, and then your list. And because you're listing, and they're kind of long things here, she saved Ruth from getting an abortion, Benny from having to quit college, yeah, and then you've got an and. I think that's going to work. But you listed all this right here. Now it's almost as though you're going back into the list that is kind of, it's not exactly the same, but it's similar to the one before. I question whether you need all of these. It said she got rejected by her children. You probably mean was rejected by her children. And I would probably say, for example, Benita started speaking against the existence of God, and I would probably quote something there instead of just the page numbers. Which, and I would explain, this might not seem like a rejection of Mama, but this was the very essence of Mama, her faith in God. She was rejected by her children when Walter became a drunkard. You probably have to prove that one. That's a little distantly connected. Rejected by her children when Ruth wanted to have an abortion. I'm not sure that one works at all right there. But overall, you have a really strong paragraph, good examples. Then when you get to Benita, I think that one's pretty strong too. And I would probably, her belief right here where her belief was, you want to change that, present tense again, was that the human race achieves through its own stubborn effort, comma, which was directly against Lena's beliefs, and it hurt her deeply. Right, when you're joining one sentence to another, you want to put the comma and we probably need it because of this clause, the relative clause with which. Now, for conclusion, we have one sentence here, and I know this is a rough draft. He did a great job developing these two people. You could delete that. That's really, it's just, you're just trying to, it's like you're trying to just fill up the paragraph. It doesn't really count. It's not addressing the prompt. Now, Benita and Lena Younger, who, even though they are mother and daughter, I would just say are truly antithetical. You might say something like they represent two extremely different value systems that come into conflict, even physical conflict, in this play. And maybe give a little bit of a thought on how it's resolved, or are their value systems resolved? How do they coexist? Is this an uneasy coexistence? What do you predict, maybe, or for the future with them, or what do you suggest to help this existence? And it does seem to work out just a little bit. If you remember when Benita says, "Mama, thank you for understanding this time," because she says, "Well, I guess you better not hang out with," I think she said, quote, "no fool." All right, so you might want to weave that into your ending or something. But overall, really good job, and thank you for sharing this.